right, MemberDev Insiders, Ali here. We have a special guest, Taylor from Compass Fitness here in Denver. They are a neighboring company, local, which we always love if possible. They're also a special client who came on in the very early part of the pandemic, which we'll definitely talk about today. But other than that, we just want to have a good conversation with Taylor, learn a little bit more about the Compass Fitness business. To tee it up, Taylor, we would love just your version of the background story with as much detail as you want to give, because what's interesting about your model is that you have some partners, and from working with you all actually way back last year, myself and all our team members felt a lot of healthy camaraderie, synergy, even though that's such an overused word, where we're like, wow, they got it together. And I say that from a place of having friends who run gyms offline and now online, or both. And I know they're not easy businesses to run. So I myself am selfishly interested in how'd you come together, whatever version that you want to tell, and then just bringing our audience up to speed on the Compass Fitness business.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Thank you for having me. It's always fun hanging out with good people, good businesses, good communities, all that stuff. So I am one of the owners and also instructors at Compass Fitness. So we're located out of Denver. We have two different locations actually within a few blocks of one another, but mostly a group fitness gym, all classes, and then some personal training as well as our online business that I'm sure that we'll get into. Mm-hmm. So we started it would have been May of 2018. We were actually founded by a group of 3 different people. I started on as an instructor on day one because I knew one of the founders and had a little bit of background in fitness through triathlon. And then I became a full-time owner in 2019. So we have 4 active owners who are all teachers and trainers as well. And then we have 3 silent partners. So between that, we have a group of 7 of us that make up Compass Fitness. But then there's 4 of us that are really making the day in and day out decisions. Any small business is always going to be really, really hard to operate. And group fitness is certainly more of a niche area. But going into 2020, we were really kind of hitting our stride. Memberships were at an all-time high. Revenue was good, profitable, kind of all of those metrics that you would look at, to the point where we signed a lease for our second location. The timing was just perfect. I think it was January or February of 2020. Okay. And obviously, best laid plans of mice and men, right?
Right.
So world shuts down. I think here in Denver, it was like March 17th. I think a Monday was our last class before they went into lockdown. And this is where having the power of multiple different partners, multiple people running the business day in and day out really played to our advantage, because we were told we need to shut down on Monday. Our last class was at noon, and we all got on a call together and we said, okay, well, what are we going to do? We said, we can't just shut down. And so we actually hosted our very first online class that next day, that Tuesday, either March 17th or 18th. We had no idea what we were doing. Luckily, we had a Facebook group, and we basically shot out an email to all of our members, everybody that had ever been to our gym, saying, hey, we're locked down. Everybody knows about this. We're going to go online starting tomorrow. Here's the link. It's free. We'll kind of figure it out as we go along. And that's what sustained us, was the fact that we were that nimble and that we were able to go from a brick and mortar gym to an online platform in less than 24 hours. And we just kind of thought, you know what, let's just provide content. Let's just get everybody together. We'll do the best that we can in terms of coming up with body weight workouts, yoga, running, all of that stuff. And we'll give it a shot. The fact that we did that so quickly, and the fact that all of our members retained their memberships, even though we were closed, and the fact that they joined us online really helped to sustain us through all of that. It speaks to the power of the community that we've built, the culture that we fostered, having so many good partners, good people within our business. And things kind of evolved from there. But now here we are. We're back. We were never really gone, but we've made it through. Almost all of our members are back. Our memberships are at an all-time high again. Our online business that I'm sure that we'll get into a little bit, that is still doing really well. So basically we have 3 different business models. We have our group fitness, we have our personal training, and then we have our online. So it's been a very stressful and interesting ride. I don't think I've ever gotten so many text messages from so many people trying to figure out how we're going to do this every day. But I know that every small business was having to deal with that. But yeah, we're very, very fortunate to be in the space that we are now.
That's awesome. Thank you. What a great overview. And I think some of the things that I heard there, just to pick apart, are that you have a dynamic partner model. It sounds very healthy. I can tell you from experience, partnerships can be very messy. So, and again, working with you all, I felt that, wow, this team is very aligned. So that had to contribute to this. The fact that you didn't waste any time. I noticed that in the early pandemic, because we were in the trenches of trying to help and hear all these people that wanted to get online, there was a lot of fear, a lot of doubt, with obvious uncertainty tied to it. But it felt like, and what I just heard you confirm, you guys just took action. You said, we got to do this. We don't care what we charge. Whoever wants to join us. And it was that a pretty healthy attendance? Like people just showed up to do a workout the next day?
So we had a Facebook group that we had for all of our members. And I think that there were maybe 100 people on it on the day before the world ended, is how we talk about it. By the time that we were kind of at full scale with that online stuff, we had 2,000 people in that group.
Wow. Okay.
The fact that we went so quickly into an online model, we did it way faster than almost anyone else that was out there. I don't know anyone that did it within 24 hours, going from brick and mortar to online in 24 hours.
Right.
We ended up getting a lot of new clients, people that were just looking for something to do during quarantine. But yeah, it was always interesting when we were up, you could always see how many people were on, and we would always be like, oh, I'm gonna go check comments. I'm gonna go check comments, because we as instructors were really, really tired.
Yeah.
None of us had ever had to like take a class and teach a class at the same time. So we would use that comment checking as a crutch, but we would routinely have like 90, 100, 120 people on every one of those workouts.
Wow. So cool. Okay. Very cool. You spoke a little bit about the three sort of, I could call them lines of business that Compass has. I'd like you to, however you want to share further, to talk a little bit about those, because one of the things that we've found is always a hot topic with new, aspiring, or even existing like younger fitness businesses, especially online business. Like, how do I price my thing? What do I offer? What's a consistent class versus a one-time versus group, right? And group, there's different things you can do to leverage. So would you mind talking a little bit about that? Just the three things you offer, and then maybe without getting too deep, just like how they play into your overall business. Like, do they all command pretty equal share, or is one like the foundation and the other two grew from it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. Having all of our founding members having multiple years of experience in fitness, we were quickly able to learn what not to do when it came to launching our own gym. And being like, okay, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that. Well, what do we want to be able to provide to people? And that's always one of those things where you're trying to, you have your core vision, your core mission statement, but then you're always you have to be very fluid in terms of figuring out what that actually looks like in practice. What we wanted to do is we wanted to create a very safe space for people to come and work out, to feel included, to feel wanted, to feel held, and to feel safe, rather than just taking people being like, hey, here's your workout, go do it, good luck. I'm going to be over here acting like I'm paying attention, but I'm actually kind of zoned out. We wanted to make people feel like, okay, when I'm here, these instructors are really going to take care of me in terms of form, in terms of function, in terms of knowing what's best for my body. And so that's kind of where we started. Then from there, we really wanted to be able to build a culture. We've all been to businesses, stores, other different, community activities where you can feel this dynamic culture of really, really good vibe, good energy, good everything. And we've all been at those places where you don't feel that good vibe, good energy. And we thought we want to be able to create that space for people where we have this dynamic, living, breathing community. People are coming to our brick and mortar space for a reason. They want that community connection, whether it's having a connection with the instructor, having a connection with other people around them, or really just like having that connection in their body during that hour that they're working out with us. So creating a safe space and wanting to be able to create this dynamic culture, this dynamic community, are really what we believe separated us, and we've always kept that. Now you end up running into issues when you're trying to scale, because how do you scale feel? How do you
Right.
scale culture? How do you scale community? And that's honestly like one of the fun things about running a small business is you're trying to figure that out day in, day out. I mean, we can create that feel and that vibe when people come into a brick and mortar, but how do you create that feel and that vibe when you're teaching an online class and I can't actually see you face to face? I'm teaching into a camera, I'm talking into a camera, and the only time I can interact with you is after class.
Totally.
So it's been a challenge.
Now, and to be clear, was this what we're talking about here? Sorry to interrupt. Were these the group classes, the foundation, before you started doing other things? Okay.
The group classes were the foundation. We've tried a bunch of other things, like an open gym where people could just come in and work out. Didn't really pan out, and I don't think that's something that we're going to explore anytime soon. Personal training came alongside of that, because all of us as instructors have like our personal training certificates and do side things along those lines. But even when we do personal training, it all comes back to wanting to build a community and to build a culture, to get to know people one-on-one or in a small group or in a big class size, and to be able to do things in a very safe and healthy way.
Right. Okay. Sweet. So, and then we'll skip around here in our thoughts, and then it sounds like the online came, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had the group class foundation. You started leveraging personal training because like we all have the experience. We might as well do this. There must have been some demand for that. And then online came. Now, before we talk about that, did online come because of the pandemic, or was it planned before pandemic?
We had always talked about launching an online business, but you always talk about doing a lot of different things. The pandemic very quickly brought it from an idea in the back of everyone's brain to, we have to do this now if we're going to survive.
Got it. Okay, very cool. So, and then let's shift into that. So as people know or can assume by now, we started working with you in the pandemic. You were one of the fastest people to execute a project, which we always brag about. Your name comes up a lot. And again, we felt that not only did you all kind of have a vision, which you just explained, like we had talked about this, but when it came time to execute and like record your videos, build up your library for the launch, you did it. And this is always a sticking point for people. Even in fitness, where you think it'd be more natural or fluid, to use your words, like, hey, I do this all the time. All I have to do is hit record. But it's interesting in building lots and lots of membership sites over the years, getting people to hit record and feel confident is arguably the biggest challenge. And so tell us a little bit about once you engaged us and went, what has changed since then? I know you gave us the bird's eye view and things have started to normalize in person, but maybe even take us back to that time and just like, what was it like when you hit go, we launched a new platform, and then you just started going purely online, right? There was a time where there was no in-person workouts, right?
Correct.
Okay. So tell us about that.
Yeah, we went from purely in-person workouts to purely online workouts in 24 hours. There was no hybrid. There was no, let's slowly ramp this up as we ramp something down. It was a light switch in 24 hours. Things with Facebook went really well. We really liked it, but like I mentioned earlier, we did everything for free, and we basically said, "Hey, here's our Venmo. If you think that this is worth something, this is what helps us to survive."
Right.
But as we were growing in terms of our members, people that were on our classes, and the fact that we enjoyed doing it, we realized that we needed to do something that was more professional. We needed to find a way to be able to monetize that and to build out an online platform. We were all really confident in our ability to actually teach in front of a camera, because one of the things that we really love about our instructors and about the community that we've created is that we're authentic. There's no performer voice. We don't have to be on. We don't hide behind our music. There are days where if I'm teaching and I'm having a really, really bad day for whatever reason, I'll tell them like, "Hey guys, like I'm having a really crappy day. And I want you to know that I may or may not come out of it based off of what you guys give me. But like, we expect people when they show up to be open and honest and vulnerable with us, both emotionally and with their bodies. Like they're having to trust us physically for the hour that they're with us. So we expect our instructors to do the same, to be open and honest and vulnerable. Some of our instructors are more talkative, some of them aren't. Some of them are funnier, some of them like to tell stories, others just kind of want to get into it. We want people to be the most authentic version of themselves. And I think that that plays well to be able to go from an in-person class to an online class. Sure, you don't have the feedback of like having your we call them our happy eyes,
Right.
having someone who's always like looking at you and has kind of got you back. But if you believe in yourself and you know that you're an authentic version of yourself and you know what you're doing in terms of teaching a good class and having good music, good playlists, all of that, being able to flow into teaching online came a lot more natural than I think we anticipated.
Very cool. Yeah, as you said that, I'm pulling up your library because I want to kind of honor and reinforce what you said about being authentic. Because when you not only what's cool about how you guys designed your library, like you have a section about your instructors. So it's not just here, go pay for the content, work out. It's like, hey, you could also kind of get to know us if you care to watch a video. And I'm sure your members look at that content. But then what's great about, or why I always enjoy looking at your library and the way you all have designed it is like you have like fun and real names for classes like Buns and Guns. Like that's real. We're not bullshitting or like it's like this is or Hustle and Flow Full Direction, which is your class. So I think that's really cool. And this actually kind of answers one of the things I wanted to talk about as well that leans into the culture. So what I hear is that you all create a pretty authentic, vulnerable, empathetic culture, but you also push that onto your members. Is that correct?
Absolutely. If we you start by when you're founding a company like this, we thought, how can we meet the needs of a community in a physical and even an emotional sense? And you start with that, and it's not how do we maximize our revenue, how do we get the most members, it's how do we meet the needs of our community. And if you meet the needs of your community and you have the resources to be able to help them out through being vulnerable and through helping them get faster or stronger, or just feel more empowered about themselves or not feel as bad about themselves, all of that other stuff will take care of itself. But it has to be authentic. We all love what we do, we all love one another, even though we have had a lot of disagreements over the years about how to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
We love our community, and that being genuine and authentic makes building a culture very, very easy. And our clients have reciprocated. They are also very intentional and very open and very honest. And they really take a lot of pride in the fact that they can show up and just be whoever they are in that moment, and to be able to have other people come around them and support them.
Totally, man. Well said. What are some of the things, what are some of the biggest challenges or learnings? So we've talked a lot about the story where you come, you just kind of hinted at that, like, yo, we've had disagreements, which every small business has. And what I've learned from that to set the tone is that sometimes well, one, I don't think business partners should ever always agree on everything. And that's an opinion. But I think that there's a lot of value in stress testing things and saying like, yeah, I'm listening to you, but I'm not sure I fully agree. Like because if you're always nodding yes, then there's no one to like play devil's advocate or check things. So given that you have multiple partners, and I'm just using this as an example, feel free to go into some other challenges, but I'm curious because running small businesses can be stressful, especially when you have to make strategic decisions where multiple people are involved.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you have to have this foundation of knowing that you all want the same thing for your business. You
Mhm.
all want the same thing for your clients, and you all want the same thing for your partners. And there has to be this sense of, I think it's Greek, of phileo love, of like love for a brother. Once you trust one another and know that you genuinely care about one another, you care about the business, you care about your people, that opens you up to be able to have some very, very hard conversations, which we had to have. We had various arguments about which platform that we wanted to use. We had, I mean, these are literal arguments
Yep.
about when we were going to launch our online platform. How much were we going to charge for our online platform? Were we going to charge our brick and mortar members a different price than we would other people? Once we open back up, are we going to continue the business? And these are things where everyone has an opinion, and a very educated opinion, but you have to be able to arrive at something that you can all get behind. There have been times where others in our group or even myself have been like, you know what, like this isn't how I would have done it, but this is what we've decided as a team. I'm going to honor that. I'm going to abide by it. And we're all going to be in the same direction on that. You have to have that foundation of trust, and love is the word that I keep coming back to, both for your partners and for your business and your clients. Otherwise, particularly in a pandemic, like this stuff doesn't work.
Right. Totally. Yeah. The terms I use for that, which is just synonymous with exactly what you're speaking to, are vision and alignment. And so did you all do an exercise at some point, or was it kind of almost blatantly obvious that you all had a very similar vision? Because that's typically when you see small business partnerships fall apart, when like people start telling themselves different stories, they actually have different visions and they never talked about that, which creates misalignment, right?
Yeah. To be honest, like we never had those issues because the pandemic forced us to move in another direction. You didn't have anybody who said, I don't think that we should go online, because if you don't go online, then we're just set in lockdown.
Yep.
Definitely. And no one knew when we were going to be able to open back up. So we didn't have any, is this our vision? Our vision, once the pandemic started, was we want to keep our business. We don't want to fail. And we all knew very quickly that doing an online platform was our best chance to succeed.
Totally. Okay. So that brought you together just in an organic and natural way, which is awesome. Anything else that sticks out in terms of like, these are hard things to solve for in a fitness, especially an online fitness business? Does anything else come to mind?
I mean, you have to be able to innovate, and you have to be able to think, how are we going to succeed given our competition? Let's be honest, like group fitness is group fitness. I could go and do a body weight workout of squats and high knees and push-ups and not have to pay X amount of dollars for an online or an in-person membership.
Right.
And it's not like we have some sort of proprietary technology or some sort of proprietary equipment or anything like that. What's proprietary to us is our personalities. And so how do you use your personality to your advantage? How do you use your culture to your advantage? We have a culture that we believe a lot of online platforms can't have. We believe that we have a culture that a lot of brick and mortar businesses just choose not to have.
Right.
So the challenge is, how do you take this thing that's so ingrained in your vision and how you're all aligned in terms of how you show up for your clients and how they show up for you, and turn it into an online business? And that's a struggle that we continue with every day. What we've determined is, hey, when we're teaching online, be ourselves.
Yep.
I mean, when I get on, I talk about time traveling like every time, because I don't know when people are going to take my workout. So I don't know if people are traveling forward in time or backward in time to take my workout. Like, it's just, honestly, it's really stupid to talk about, but it makes me happy and it makes me laugh. And I think that people enjoy it because they keep coming into my online classes. So yeah, there's always those challenges. There's always going to be competition. There's always going to be new regulations, new whatever that you have to face. How do you continue to innovate and how you continue to grow? But most importantly, how do you retain that vision that you set out when you started?
100%, man. Yeah, you have a beautiful soul. Every time we get to chat, which is not often, I just admire that you are yourself. You're authentic, and not a lot of people do that these days. Do you think, aside from encouraging this like authentic self, is there also an aspect of community? Have you guys built community both in person and online? And what I mean by that is, like, have you put effort into thinking about outside of outside of keeping people fit, are we creating something more than that, like a community?
Yeah, and honestly, that's happened completely organically.
Mm-hmm.
We only have so much time in a day to be able to try and build our business, and our focus has to be on the fitness aspect. That's really where our clients have stepped up. They've launched actually some Facebook groups to be able to go out and do things in Colorado. They've gone hiking together. They go out for drinks together. I know a bunch of people go to each other's weddings. Online, obviously, that's a little bit tougher. Right. But that's where there's this dynamism in our comment section. Every time somebody comments on one of our videos, one of the instructors will respond back to it. That, I think, has shown us that our vision is succeeding, is wanting to create this community, wanting to create this culture, happened organically outside of us four owners being like, hey, how can we get people together to go for a hike this weekend? It
Right.
just naturally, and that's something that I think is unique to us, and it's beautiful and makes us so happy that it's happening.
Totally. I love it. I've spent several years at a CrossFit gym, and the camaraderie was a big part of that glue. Just like you said, the exact same things, and then different life circumstances. Now I'm more of an introvert working out, but that makes a lot of sense. What did we not talk about? Just in some closing thoughts, any tips, advice, words of wisdom, anything you want to share just around, and in the spirit of someone who would aspire to be the next Compass Fitness, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of where are we going to go from here? Look, we're no different than anybody else. We just happen to be a group fitness company, but there's a way to build authentic culture. It doesn't even have to be community, but authentic culture outside of what we're doing. I mean, one of the examples that I always look back to is Apple. I mean, Apple's computer hardware, but they have created this community, this culture, this experience when people open up their new iPhone or open up their MacBook or whatever, and it's their computer hardware. How did they do this? And so being able to keep that idea in mind, how can we elicit an emotional response out of people? Whether that's being in finance, whether that's being in technology, but for us, it happens to be in group fitness. It can be difficult because you have different groups who are pulling you in different directions. You have to be able to come back to what your core competencies are. And for us, it's building authentic community, authentic culture. We don't know where we're going to go from here. We don't know, we have these discussions of, okay, do we take our current locations and just try and blow them up, make us have, 3x number of members that we have now? Do we try and blow up our online business and really, really get streamlined and put a lot more production value into it? Or do we franchise out? Do we open up multiple locations and try and train new instructors? Those we don't have the answers to. It's one of those things where you kind of figure it out while we go. And I think that's the challenge for small business is once you know that you're successful and once you know you've made it, we're at the 3-year mark, we know that we've made it. How then do you go forth and create from there? And I don't have those answers. It's fun to be a part of it, but you can't lose view of what made you successful, what got you to where you were. And you just have to be able to figure out a way to grow that over time.
Love it, man. Well said. Okay, we're going to let you go. We appreciate your time. I'm sure there'll be a follow-up. Thank you, Taylor. And hope everything goes well. I know you guys will figure out the next thing and it'll be awesome. It'll be real. It'll be authentic. So kudos to you and the Compass team.
The last thing that I'll say, and this kind of popped in, this was not solicited, is part of what makes us successful and part of what makes all this fun is having good partners. Mm-hmm. We have really good partners in the community, other small businesses in the area where we all got together and we all tried to make this work. MemberDev was an amazing partner to us. To be able to go from that first call to us actually going online, I mean, you would be able to tell them the exact amount of time, but it was weeks.
It was fast. Yeah.
It was really, really fast. And it took a lot of work. But I mean, companies like you guys don't come along every day. We could have just worked through a help desk and someone in another country that we would never meet face to face with. But to be able to do all of this stuff over Zoom, and now we're pretty self-sufficient at this point. But to be able to come back and talk about what we went through, finding partners and finding groups who have a shared goal and who want to work with you so that everybody can be more successful, that's a real rarity in the world. And to be able to find that has been a true gift. And we're really grateful for being able to work with you guys.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much. Those are kind words and it's very mutual. I couldn't agree more. It's at the end of the day, it's not about money. It's about giving first. And we felt that from you. So it was an awesome relationship. And I hope that it keeps going for a long time. So thank you.
Yeah, I have no plans on going anywhere. My knees might say otherwise, but
right.
I'm here for a little while.
All right. Well, thank you again, Taylor.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Love the Yoda poster in the background.
Thanks, man. All right. Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye-bye.